The sun was beginning its descent over the town of Capernaum, casting a golden hue across the Sea of Galilee. The gentle waves lapped against the shore, and the bustling marketplace was slowly winding down. Merchants packed up their wares, fishermen mended their nets, and children played in the narrow streets. Yet in one small house near the edge of the village, a sense of unease hung in the air. Inside the humble home, a woman lay on a mat, her face flushed with fever. She was Peter's mother-in-law, a woman known for her kindness and hospitality. Her hands, usually busy preparing meals or tending to guests, now lay still at her sides. Her breathing was shallow, and her body burned with a relentless heat. The family had tried every remedy they knew, herbs, cool cloths, prayers, but nothing seemed to ease her suffering. Peter, one of Jesus' closest disciples, had been away for several days, traveling with the teacher and the other followers. He had left his wife and mother-in-law in the care of relatives, never imagining that his absence would coincide with such a crisis. When word reached him that his mother-in-law was gravely ill, his heart sank. He knew he had to return home, but he also knew that Jesus was his only hope. That evening, as the first stars appeared in the sky, Jesus and his disciples arrived in Capernaum. They had spent the day teaching and healing in the surrounding villages, and the weight of their journey was evident in their tired steps. Yet despite his fatigue, Jesus' presence radiated a quiet strength and compassion. Peter approached Jesus with a heavy heart. "Teacher," he began, his voice trembling, "my mother-in-law is very ill. She has a high fever, and we fear for her life. Would you come and see her?" Jesus looked at Peter with eyes full of understanding. Without a word, he nodded and followed Peter through the narrow streets of the village. The other disciples trailed behind. Their curiosity piqued. They had seen Jesus perform miracles before, but each one was a reminder of his divine power and love. When they reached the house, Peter's wife greeted them at the door. Her face was etched with worry, but she managed a small smile. "Thank you for coming," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "She's inside." The room was dimly lit, the only light coming from a small oil lamp on a table. Peter's mother-in-law lay on a mat in the corner, her eyes closed and her face pale. The air was thick with the scent of herbs and the faint tang of sweat. The family had done everything they could, but it was clear that human efforts were not enough. Jesus stepped into the room, his presence filling the space with a sense of peace. He knelt beside the woman and gently placed his hand on her forehead. Her skin was hot to the touch, but Jesus' hand was cool and steady. He closed his eyes and prayed silently, his lips moving in words too soft to hear. The room was utterly still, as if time itself had paused. Peter and his wife held their breath, their eyes fixed on Jesus. The disciples watched in awe, their hearts pounding with anticipation. Jesus smiled gently. "It is not I who healed her, but the power of God working through faith," he said. "Let this be a reminder to all of you that nothing is impossible for those who believe." The woman stood up, her legs steady beneath her. She looked at Jesus with a mixture of awe and gratitude. "How can I ever thank you?" she asked. Jesus shook his head. "Your faith has made you well," he replied. "Go and live your life in service to God, and let your healing be a testimony to his power." With that, the woman began to prepare a meal for her guests, her hands moving with the same skill and care as before. The disciples watched in amazement, their hearts filled with joy and wonder. They had witnessed yet another miracle, a tangible reminder of Jesus' divine authority. As the evening wore on, the disciples gathered around Jesus, eager to understand the deeper meaning behind what they had just witnessed. "Teacher," one of them asked, "why do you heal some and not others? What does this miracle teach us about God's will?" Jesus looked at them with a thoughtful expression. "Every miracle is a sign of God's kingdom breaking into this world," he explained. "It is a glimpse of what is to come, a world free from pain, sickness, and death. But miracles are not just about physical healing. They are about restoring relationships, renewing faith, and revealing God's love." He paused, his gaze sweeping over the room. "Peter's mother-in-law was healed not just for her sake, but for yours as well. Her healing is a reminder that God cares about every detail of our lives, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant. It is also a call to action, a challenge to trust in God's power and to be his hands and feet in this world. The disciples nodded, their hearts stirred by Jesus' words. They knew that following him would not always be easy, but moments like these reminded them of the incredible privilege and responsibility of being his followers. Word of the miracle spread quickly through Capernaum, and soon the house was filled with people eager to see Jesus. Some came out of curiosity, others out of desperation, but all were drawn by the hope of encountering the one who had the power to heal and restore. Peter's mother-in-law, now fully recovered, moved among the crowd, sharing her story with anyone who would listen. "He touched me," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "He touched me, and the fever left. I was weak, but now I am strong. He is the Messiah, the one we have been waiting for." Her testimony resonated deeply with those who heard it, and many began to believe in Jesus because of her words. Her healing was not just a physical restoration, but a spiritual awakening, a reminder that God's love is real and his power is limitless. The story of Peter's mother-in-law is more than just a miracle. It is a testament to the transformative power of faith and the boundless compassion of Jesus. It reminds us that no matter how desperate our circumstances may seem, there is always hope in him. It challenges us to trust in his timing, to believe in his power, and to share our stories of healing and restoration with others. As the night deepened and the stars shone brightly over Capernaum, Jesus and his disciples prepared to continue their journey. They knew that more challenges and miracles lay ahead, but they also knew that they were not alone. The one who had healed Peter's mother-in-law was with them, guiding their steps and filling their hearts with hope. And so, with renewed faith and determination, they set out to spread the good news of God's kingdom, one miracle at a time. This retelling expands the biblical account with descriptive details, emotional depth, and reflective insights, offering a fresh perspective on the familiar story. It emphasizes the themes of faith, healing, and the transformative power of Jesus' touch.